The smell of roasted meat filled the air, thick and mouth-watering, drifting through the narrow streets of Omo village. People came from far and near to buy from Babatunde's meat shop, the most popular place in town. His son, Desmond, was always there beside him, strong and hardworking, cutting and weighing meat with steady hands. From the way he moved the knife, you could tell he had learned from the best. He was only 12 when his father started training him, and everyone in the village said he would grow up to be even greater than Babatunde. Babatunde's meat was special. It was always soft, tender, and cheaper than anywhere else. People would line up every morning just to get a share before it finished. Ah, Babatunde, you will not kill us with sweetness, so they often joked as they chewed happily. Babatunde would laugh, his eyes glinting with something strange, something only Desmond noticed but didn't understand at the time. Years passed and Desmond became a man. His father grew older and weaker until one evening he sat under the mango tree and never stood up again. The whole village mourned him. People said, "A great man has gone." But Desmond, though he cried, also felt something else. A new fire burned inside him. He would not only continue his father's business, he would expand it, and he did. Desmond's meat shop became larger, brighter, and busier than ever. His meat was still the softest, still the cheapest, still the most delicious. He had customers from other towns and cities. When other butchers complained about scarcity or high prices, Desmond's shelves remained full. People called it grace, favor, even miracle. But behind that success was something darker, something no one could imagine. Desmond had learned more from his father than just how to cut meat. He had learned the real secret behind the business. The reason their meat was always tender and cheap, it was not from animals, it was from people. His father had taught him in secret long ago, telling him, "Son, this world is wicked. People eat and forget who gave them life. But if you feed them well, you will live above them." Desmond was too young to understand then, but as he grew, he accepted it as normal, as family tradition. Now a grown man, Desmond had his own system. He no longer hunted animals, he hunted humans, not with guns and traps, but with tricks. Sometimes he would offer poor travelers a free meal and a place to rest, only for them to vanish before dawn. Other times he bribed local officials to turn a blind eye when missing people were reported. No one ever suspected him. After all, he was the kind butcher, the generous businessman who donated meat to churches and orphanages. When Desmond got married to a beautiful young woman named Bianca, the business was already booming. Bianca knew nothing about his secret. To her, he was the best husband any woman could dream of. Caring, hardworking, and rich. He built her a lovely home on the outskirts of town. But there was one thing. A small, locked room beside the kitchen. From the first day she moved in, Desmond warned her never to enter that room. He told her it was his private office for business records and that no one, not even she, should open it. Bianca agreed, though she sometimes wondered what was inside. At first, life was peaceful. Desmond would leave early and return late, smelling faintly of smoke and blood. Bianca never questioned it. He provided everything: food, clothes, money, comfort. She was content. But sometimes at night, when she woke to drink water, she would hear strange noises coming from that locked room. A dragging sound, a dull thud, a low hum that sent chills through her body. Whenever she asked Desmond about it, he would smile and say, "Ah, rats again, I will handle it tomorrow." And that was that. As time passed, Desmond's fame spread beyond Umu. Big restaurants in nearby towns started buying his meat in bulk. Journalists even came to interview him once, calling him the man feeding the nation. He smiled for the camera, shaking hands, hiding the truth behind a calm face. In his mind, he laughed at how easy it was to deceive people. One afternoon, as Bianca was cleaning the sitting room, her friend Nicole arrived from the city. Nicole was bold and curious, the kind of woman who noticed everything. She hugged Bianca warmly, smiling from ear to ear. "Ah, my sister, you are enjoying life, oh. Look at this big house, she said. Bianca laughed shyly and offered her food. Nicole planned to stay for a few days before returning to the city. Desmond came home later that evening, and though he welcomed her politely, there was something cold about his smile, like he didn't want her there. From that first night, Nicole sensed something odd about the house. The way Desmond moved, the way his eyes followed her sometimes, made her uneasy. And that locked door, why did he look so protective of it? She decided not to mention it to Bianca yet, but her mind refused to rest. The next day, when Desmond left for work, Nicole asked Bianca softly, "My sister, what is in that small room, the one beside the kitchen?" Bianca smiled awkwardly. "Ah, that room. My husband said no one should enter. He keeps his business things there." Nicole frowned. "But business things in the house? Bianca shrugged. "That's what he said. I don't question him." That answer didn't sit well with Nicole. She had grown up around lies, and she knew when something wasn't right. That night, as she lay in bed, she heard a faint humming again, coming from the locked room. The sound was too heavy to be rats. Her heartbeat raced. She turned to Bianca, who was fast asleep, and whispered, "What are you hiding, Desmond?" Outside, the moonlight touched the walls of the house like a warning. The shadows looked like shapes, moving shapes. Somewhere deep in the night, a freezer door opened and closed, and the air filled with a quiet hum that sounded almost like breathing. And as Nicole slowly drifted back to sleep, she didn't know she was being watched. From the slightly opened window of that forbidden room, a pair of eyes glowed faintly in the dark. Desmond wasn't asleep, he was watching her. The next morning, the sun rose quietly over Umo village, painting the rooftops in gold. Bianca was already awake, sweeping the compound when Desmond came out of the house, dressed neatly for work. He greeted her with a smile, kissed her forehead, and turned to Nicole, who was sitting on the veranda sipping tea. "You're still around?" he asked lightly, though his tone carried a sharp edge. Nicole smiled politely. "Yes, sir. I'll be here for just a few more days. Your wife has been treating me like a queen." Desmond forced a laugh. "That's good. You're welcome anytime." But his eyes lingered on her too long, and there was something cold in that look, something that made Nicole's stomach tighten. When he left, the house grew silent again. Nicole's curiosity burned stronger than ever. She couldn't shake off the strange feeling she had each time she looked at that closed door. Why was it always cold around that area? Why did she sometimes hear the hum of a machine behind it? "Bianca," she said suddenly, dropping her cup, "where does Desmond get all his meat from? He never runs out, even when other butchers complain." Bianca looked surprised. I don't really know. He told me he has special suppliers in other towns. I never asked for more than that." Nicole folded her arms. "Don't you think that's strange? Even during meat scarcity, your husband still has plenty, and his meat is always so soft. Have you noticed that?" Bianca laughed. "You're thinking too much. My husband is a good businessman. That's why he's successful." But Nicole didn't laugh. Something inside her said there was more to Desmond than anyone knew. That night, she decided she would find out for herself. When everyone had gone to bed, the house was quiet except for the ticking of the wall clock. Nicole slipped out of the bed carefully so as not to wake Bianca. She moved barefoot through the hallway, her heart pounding like a drum. The corridor was dimly lit, and that cold air was there again, stronger than before. She reached the forbidden door. It was locked, as always. She tried to peep through the keyhole, but saw only darkness. Just as she leaned closer, she heard something, a dull dragging sound, then a soft thud, then silence. Nicole froze. Her breath caught in her throat. She wanted to run back to bed, but her curiosity chained her in place. "What is it hiding in there?" she whispered. Suddenly, footsteps echoed faintly behind her. She turned sharply, but no one was there. The corridor was empty. Still, she felt it. Someone was watching her. She hurried back to the room, shut the door, and hid under the blanket, trembling. The next morning, Desmond was unusually quiet at breakfast. His eyes moved between Bianca and Nicole, studying them. "Nicole, I hope you slept well," he said slowly. "Yes," she replied, trying to sound calm. "Good, because I noticed something last night." His smile didn't reach his eyes. Someone was walking around when everyone was supposed to be asleep. Nicole's spoon slipped from her hand. "Ah, maybe the wind, or maybe the cats." Desmond smiled and widened. "Maybe." Then he stood, grabbed his bag, and left the house. But Nicole's heart wouldn't stop pounding. That day, she followed Desmond secretly. She told Bianca she wanted to visit the market, but instead, she trailed him from a distance. Desmond walked fast, cutting through a narrow bush path that led behind the town slaughter area. Nicole hid behind a mango tree and watched. He opened a small gate and disappeared inside a shed. Minutes later, she heard a strange noise, like metal clanging, and a cry of something that didn't sound like an animal. Her hand shook. She wanted to see more, but fear held her back. What if he saw her? Still, she needed to know the truth. When Desmond finally came out, he was carrying a large sack that looked heavy. He threw it into his van, wiped his hands, and drove off. Nicole waited until he was gone, then ran to the shed. The smell that hit her almost made her vomit. Raw blood, and something else, something rotten. She pushed the door open and froze. On the floor was a trail of blood leading to a drain. Her knees weakened. "God," she whispered, "what is this man doing?" That night, she couldn't eat. Bianca noticed. "Nicole, you're quiet. Are you okay?" Nicole looked at her friend, then at Desmond, who was watching them from across the table. "I'm fine," she said quickly, "just tired." Desmond smiled, his eyes glinting. "Good. You should rest well tonight." Something about the way he said it made her uneasy. Later, when Bianca went to bed, Nicole sat on the veranda, lost in thought. She knew she should leave the next morning. Whatever Desmond was hiding, it was dangerous. But parts of her still wanted to see what was behind that locked door. She couldn't help herself. It was like something was pulling her towards it. Then she heard a sound, a soft click. The door to the forbidden room creaked open slightly. Her heart jumped. "Who opened it?" she whispered. She looked around. The house was quiet. Maybe Desmond forgot to lock it. Her curiosity took over. She stood up slowly and walked towards the room. The closer she got, the colder the air became. Her fingers trembled as she pushed the door open wider. The darkness inside felt alive. She could smell metal, sharp and heavy. Suddenly, a voice came from behind her. Calm, deep, chilly. "I warned you," Desmond said. Nicole turned around sharply, and the last thing she saw was his cold smile. The next morning, Bianca woke up to an empty bed beside her guest. Nicole was gone. Her bag was still in the room, her phone on the table. At first, Bianca thought she went to buy something, but when hours passed and Nicole didn't return, worry began to creep in. By evening, she called Nicole's number again and again, and it kept ringing, but the sound was faint, just as if it was coming from inside the house. Her heart began to race. She followed the sound carefully. It was coming from the direction of the forbidden room. She froze. The phone was ringing behind the locked door. For a long moment, she stood still, torn between fear and curiosity. Her husband had warned her never to open it, but Nicole was her friend. She had to find her. She swallowed hard, looked around and whispered, "God, please protect me." Then she began to search for the key. Evening sky had turned gray and turned the road far away like a slow warning. The air inside the house was thick and heavy, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Bianca's heart pounded as she moved quietly, her hands trembling as she searched every corner of the sitting room. She needed a key. The sound of Nicole's phone ringing inside the forbidden room had not stopped echoing in her mind. She checked on top of the cupboards, behind the framed pictures, and inside Desmond's drawer, but found nothing. Then she remembered something. Sometimes, Desmond would go into the bedroom after work and drop his keys under the thick carpet near the wardrobe before taking a bath. It was a habit she had seen him do many times, but she had never dared to touch the keys before. Red caught as she lifted the carpet. There it was, a small bunch of keys tied with a black string. Her hand shook as she picked it up. For a moment, she stared at it, frozen. Should she open the door? Should she obey her husband and pretend she heard nothing? But Nicole's voice echoed in her head. Don't you think that's strange? Bianca closed her eyes and whispered, Forgive me, Desmond. Then she walked towards the forbidden room. The corridor seemed longer than ever. Every step she took echoed faintly, like the floor was warning her to turn back. The closer she got to the door, the colder the air became. Her skin prickled. She stopped in front of it and swallowed hard. The smell hit her first, thick and sour, like something rotten mixed with metal. She covered her nose with her wrapper, her heart racing. The phone was still ringing faintly from inside. With trembling fingers, she tried the first key. It didn't fit. The second one clicked halfway but stuck. She tried the third one, and the lock turned with a slow, painful creak. For a moment, she couldn't move. Her body refused to push the door open. Then the phone stopped ringing, and silence filled the house. That silence broke her. She pushed the door gently, and it opened. The sight that met her eyes made her legs give way. The room was freezing cold. A large freezer hummed in one corner, its surface stained with something dark. The walls were splattered with dried blood, and on the table lay a sharp knife and several pieces of raw meat arranged neatly on a tray. She could see nylon bags stacked on shelves, each labeled carefully with names written in black marker, names of people she knew from the village. Bianca's hand flew to her mouth as a scream tore through her throat, but came out weak and broken. She stumbled backward, tears filling her eyes. Then she saw something that made her body freeze completely. On the floor near the freezer lay a small bracelet. Nicole's bracelet, the one she had promised to give her before leaving. It was stained with blood. Bianca fell to her knees. No, 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 she whispered, shaking her head. She turned towards the freezer, her whole body trembling, but something deep inside pushed her to open it. Slowly, she lifted the lid. The cold mist rose, biting her skin. Inside were neatly wrapped pieces of meat, cut into different sizes, stacked like animal parts. But on one of the nylons, written in the same bold black marker, was a name, Nicole. Heart shattered, she screamed, falling backward, clutching her chest as tears poured down her face. The realization hit her like thunder. Her husband, the man she loved, trusted, and built a home with, had been selling human meat all these years. And now, her best friend has become one of his victims. She staggered to her feet, her mind spinning, her breath sharp and broken. She wanted to run, but her legs wouldn't move. Her eyes darted around the room, and for the first time, she noticed something even more terrifying. The freezer wasn't the only one. There were two others, smaller, tucked into the corner. One was labeled reserved, and another pending. Bianca's stomach twisted. What did those words mean? Who were they meant for? Just then, she heard the faint sound of a car pulling into the compound. Her heart stopped. Desmond was home.